Hindsight's 2020, though, right, Mario?
Sure is. That's an easy call, Tyler, when you're seeing that zone getting ripped up right down the field. But you're right. I think the man there could have been a great advantage for them. But here we are. We're on serve. Whitman's in the game. This could be not just a big win on this day. This is a big win for the Whitman program if they could come up with it.
Yeah, I agree. Carleton didn't have the best Florida warm-up. When they went, they had a couple losses that would be considered uncharacteristic from last year's champions. I'm sure they look at that as, okay, stumble, but we're fine. A loss to Whitman today would change that, right? They would have to say, okay, is something wrong, right? They can't look at it as saying, okay, maybe we were tired or maybe we just hadn't played outdoors. It would change things, right, for Carleton. They would have to really consider what's our offense doing, what's our defense doing. Do we need to make changes?
Carleton on the path to try to get back to their 4th straight title game would be almost unprecedented. Incredible story program. Whitman making nationals last year for the first time, trying to continue and take advantage of that experience with a large returning upper class. And here we go, 8-7 Carleton lead over Whitman. Will Harold getting set to pull. Some explanations going on from the observer right now before play gets started. Harold with the inside-out backhand pull. Stradley going back to make the grab. Pitches on the fly, centers to Norden. Poachy defense on the handlers by Carleton, now going into straight man, finding McGinn underneath as his defender slips. McGinn putting out the space, wide open, gaining yards, and Oswald there. Easy goal for Whitman. Carleton's defense appeared to have a miscommunication there. What did you see, Mario?
You're exactly right. Carleton wasn't communicating out there on the field, allowed 2 wide open throws. And that's exactly what you need if you are Whitman. You need easy goals so you can focus on that defense. Like you said, Tyler, I think you're right. Maybe they should come out man in this one. Use that intensity, pick up that fire, and see if they can get themselves another break.
Yeah, you certainly don't want to give another zone look to Carleton. Let them see it again. Let them feel comfortable and fine with that. You want to keep them on their toes a little bit. I would come out man.
Whitman going to come out. Defense try to get another turn to get back on top of this. Well, get on top for the first time in this game. Carleton has led all game long, going out to a 2-0 lead, getting a first break of the game on the second possession. Whitman, though, offense has been hanging tight this entire game, keeping that team in it, and that's a testament to the strength of Norden and Jacob Janin.
Looking at this game, Brian, you've watched a lot of college ultimate so far. Mario and I have seen some, especially in videos. Carleton's performance right now, where does it rank against a Pitt, a Wisconsin, a Florida, an Oregon?
The thing with Carleton always in the early season, and now we're getting from the early season to the late season, we talked about warm-up a little bit. Carleton always likes to develop. They had several injuries and a few players missing from warm-up. That's why we saw the losses that we did. And right now we have some new players coming into new roles after their national championship run. Carleton is still a team that can give anybody a game. They just have to be able to come together and put together the consistent O that they're known for.
You're talking late season. This tournament, you see them in the finals. Based on what you've seen only so far, Mario shakes his head.
I agree with Mario. I don't see Carleton making the finals at this point in time, especially with the way they're playing now. Play restarts now. Norden with a disc after a brick pull, finding the color underneath. Stewart in the lane, not available. Throwing up the space. Defender was tight. Catch is still made by Long. Moved around now to Norden. Keller was also in the area. Norden finding Childs Walker underneath. Childs Walker so fast. Finding Stewart, call on the play. Stewart, known for his physical play, looked like he may have pushed off on McGinn.
Right now, Julian's making a big difference. He's gaining yards, but he's also often very dangerous on the break, both with his forehand and backhand. He's really opening up that break side for the inside cutters.
Give and go. Giving it back to Childs Walker. 10 yards outside the end zone, finding Stewart back, makes the grab. Stewart with a backhand break around. Finds him just outside the end zone. Looking back for Norden. Norden goes to the ground to make the grab. Looking for the break, finds Childs Walker for the goal, and Carleton leads 9-8 over Whitman, holding pace right now.
You know, that whole point was break mark throws for Carleton, whether it was, they set up that flick break mark with all of the inside-out backhands that they threw on that point. It was Walker. It was Norden. Inside out backhand. Inside out backhand. You know, Whitman was finally sitting on it near the end zone. Norden shimmies, flick for the goal.
The defense was better. The defense from Whitman is getting better. I think this is their first game. We saw, you know, they were sort of getting their legs under them a little bit. I think their man defense is just getting better. They're starting to get that fire, right?
We're seeing Whitman hanging around in this game, playing a tight offensive line, letting their defensive players play out pretty evenly. You know, as this game gets closer to the point total of 13, what do you expect to see with the subbing for Whitman, Mario?
You know, there's no reason not to throw your best lines at this game. This is a great team. This is an opportunity for not only your team to win a game, but for your team to win an important game in the context of its history and its growth towards nationals. I think you go for it. 3 games today, maybe none more important than this one. Go for the win. Play your studs.
I think it's a great point. The fact that you win this game, it creates a team of believers in excellence, right? You know you can beat anybody. That's not the case for the rest of the teams in the pool. Put everything in this game.
Big layout. Not sure if Harold got the D, but it was bobbled by McGinn regardless. Great defensive pressure creates a turnover, and Carleton here may just gearing up to try to win out the rest of this game. Starts now.
Pretty flat mark.
Finding to go. Finding Harold. Big D by McGinn. Layout. Clap catch D. Back to Norden.
They got to move the ball quick.
Norden looking back for Stradley. Stradley with a bit of a push off. Physical play picking up here by both teams as this game tightens up. Norden putting it deep. Stewart is there. Makes the grab, but nobody around him. Finds his man back, finds Cross. Cross over to Saney. Saney putting out the space.
Oh, no.
Just out of reach for a falling to the ground, Janin. Missed opportunity there for Whitman.
Yeah, these are the times they got to have Jeremy Norden go get the ball. He has to throw that throw and go get it again. That's where we see a team like Florida really, their system works, right? They go get the ball in the hands of the best throwers.
Finding Harold up the line. Wide open space, putting it deep. Galen Ryan running it down. Can he get there? Goes for the layout, overthrown. Whitman getting another chance on offense.
You know, we talked about it, Tyler. We said that Whitman needs to make an adjustment, make Carleton throw over the top. There we see it.
Yeah, exactly.
They generate a turnover.
Yep. That's 2 huck attempts in recently from Carleton missed, right? Whitman needs that kind of luck, really.
Flat mark on Norden trying to prevent the huck. Moved over to Stradley. Stradley right back to Norden. Nothing much available with the flat mark. Norden looking back for Janin. Puts it up the line. Janin with enough space to make the grab. Finding McGinn underneath. Harold with a late bid. McGinn back to Janin. Putting out the space. Finding Saney.
Both teams looking a little tired out here. This is a long point.
I agree.
Starting to drag.
Cross trying to solve it immediately. Putting it as Oswald is there. Goes up and makes the grab. And we are still tied at 9s.
Oswald is coming up huge. This is the exact kind of bench production we need. I would probably argue, based on what we heard earlier, Oswald's not a bench player. He was a name that they mentioned that, you know, a lot of the country doesn't know, but he was making huge plays for them.
You know, another great throw here. You put that disc to where the defenders can't get to it. I've seen great hucking here from Whitman. Their execution has been almost flawless with those deep throws. 3 for 3 so far this game with their huck attempts.
And that's so far recently. If they can continue this level of connection. Now, you'll notice also Norden's huck was not to the end zone. It was simply short enough. And it was basically the perfect length for him to know he can complete it. He's not pushing the length to try to put him in the end zone and decrease the basically make it tougher on himself. He's just hitting the throw he knows he can hit.
Great game here. Whitman has hung around all game long, and right now looks pretty even. We've seen chances on multiple possessions by both the defense and the offense. Looks like this is going to be a tight one from here on out. Guys, what adjustments do you make at this point in the game here with 9-9? What have you seen? What are you going to do if you're that team?
It's tempting if you're Whitman to keep hucking, right? But you have to think that Carleton is going to start fearing that, playing help D, and so you need to be wary of that and not just huck to anything, right? You got to be loose. You got to take the shots there to there, but not force it. And I think I worry about Whitman starting to force deep shots, having hit a few in a row.
You know, it'll be interesting to see if that happens. Jeremy Norton, one of the most composed players on Whitman. We'll see if the intensity of this game affects his decision-making.
Finding the cutter underneath, putting it deep immediately for Childs Walker, who's there, makes the grab just outside the end zone. Looking for a man, finds Norton, quick dish to Herskew, and that's as easy as it gets, guys.
I mean, as easy as it gets, but you're playing percentages here against Carleton. You know, I'd say when you're making them throw a deep throw, you've got a better chance of getting a D than if you let them work it up the field. So looks like an easy point. It might be easy for Whitman to say, oh, now we got to force them under because that one was too easy. No, I'd say stick to that defense. Make them throw over the top because that's where all their D opportunities and the opportunities for turnovers have come.
I agree. It's tempting to tell your defenders, hey, take everything away, but that simply is not, it's not logical, it's not feasible, it's not something you want to tell your players. You want to say either force them under, make them beat with a lot of throws, or force them deep and make them beat with you with over the top. And if they keep on making them force them deep, I would say that's Carleton's plan B. And that's the right thing for Whitman to do right now. And you can't hang your heads if they hit that shot. You're allowing them to take that risk, and you want that risk.
We have Carleton leading 10-9. Timeout on the field right now. We'll be back in a minute. Actually, we're going to stay here for a little bit.
Gotcha.
Guys, we've seen Carleton offense really revolve around 4 players: Nick Stewart, Justin Norton, Jonah Herskew, and Julian Childs Walker. Herskew's back after playing varsity basketball. He's had a huge impact so far on the offense, touching the disc sometimes every other. You know, what type of impact is that? How does it make it so much easier on the rest of the offense when a guy like that returns?
Well, it basically allows the dump to not feel like they have to get the ball, right? They have a guy behind them as a secondary dump who's going to get open. So far in this game, we've seen a lot of a 3-handler set from Carleton, and whoever is guarding that first dump has been doing a good job from Whitman, right? They're playing good hard D. But often that secondary dump defender on the secondary dump option has been playing a little loose, right? They're not available for that first throw, so they aren't super tight. And it's allowing that first dump, go up line, clear, and that secondary dump option to be pretty wide open and easy. Whitman needs to either clamp down on that or do something different. And oftentimes it's been Herskew who's been that secondary dump. Just easy reset, and it's too easy, right? It allows him to get out of tough situations. And Herskew with the ball in his hands is very dangerous, right? So you just don't want to allow him that.
You know, having a great player back on your team, simply put, takes the pressure off of everyone else. That's how it's affecting Carleton. It's making them have more confidence in their abilities to just do their role.
Off of the pole, Norton looking to dish it immediately to McGinn, back to Norton. Norton putting out a backhand huck to space. Seward running it down.
Look at the throw.
Makes the grab. And there's a huck, another goal. 4 for 4 now. Whitman on their huck attempts recently, making this game 10-10, and we are still tied late in this game.
After that point, you see Simon Montague just standing in the middle of the field, hands on hips. He's frustrated.
Check out this throw again from Norton. Puts it to a place where the Carleton player may have had a little bit of an attempt on the disc, but if you're Jeremy, you're throwing that one to space. Excellent execution by Norton, and you can see that Carleton even made the adjustment. Norton, known for his great flick hucks. Carleton goes backhand. Norton beats him. If you're Carleton right now, you're saying he beats us one way, he beats us the other way. How are we going to stop this guy?
Exactly, and you have to imagine that the change is going to come downfield, right? They're going to start back and Oswald. I mean, why not? He's caught how many goals so far, or how many just hucks? You got to start backing him. Oswald's got to be aware of that and come under if he's given those under yards.
Exactly. All game long, the story was, how does Whitman's defense adjust? And right now, it's how does Carleton's defense adjust? What do they have to do? You talked a little bit about it, but is that the game plan you would go with moving forward?
You know, that's a good question. Carleton's intensity level is good. I would consider a transition, something that basically you leave guys who haven't threatened you thus far and really put the pressure defensively, double teaming maybe the dumps a little bit, make them throw to those more role players, put the disc in their hands. Because right now with the ball in Jeremy's hands, Whitman's succeeding.
We're starting to see off the pole Janet and Norden, as well as McGinn, on the field defensively. They're playing for keeps right now. Norden with the disc in the middle of the field, marked by his brother. Sibling rivalry action going on, finding Stewart underneath, looking up for Herskew. Childs Walker stretching the field. Herskew faking deep, now up the line to Norden. Norden faking the backhand,
This
looking
is Norden
up the
on
line.
Norden there.
Finding Keller. Keller back to Norden. Swung around Herskew. Great handler movement, smooth movement by Carleton for the break and the goal to David Long. 11-10, Carleton leads.
Just what we were talking about, having Herskew out there just takes the pressure off of everyone else. He's a playmaker. He was available for the swing, throws a nice, easy inside-out backhand to space for the goal.
You know, what we're seeing a lot of right now is a backhand force from Whitman. Carleton gets the disc on the backhand sideline, swings it, and one of the main fundamentals, and this is something for any player to watch, is that anytime it swings to the weak side, every single player on Carleton is faking that forehand around. What that does is it forces the mark to have to cover that, because they are hitting it if they don't cover it. That pulls the mark around, and they just consistently, you see them, they're hitting these inside-out backhands that are really barely inside out, right? They're swinging it so far to the side of the field that that's almost a straight throw downfield that is essentially for the downfield defenders to the break side. It's those simple fundamentals of always faking that around to open up the inside that Carleton does so well. It makes their offense look so easy.
This game's still incredibly tight. Carleton leading 11-10 going into the waning moments. And we've seen a ton of offensive proficiency by both squads here. One break each by the defense. You know, is that a result of putting your studs on offense?
I mean, yeah, it's a result of execution and lots of practice time together as an offensive team. And I think, you know, the defenses just aren't gelling quite as well as the offenses at this point.
Odd pull there by Simon Montague, coming up very short.
And out.
Looks like he's not happy with that one.
No, he's not. We also haven't seen the level of physicality recently that we did a little bit earlier on in the game. I wonder if we will see more of that. Oftentimes with intensity comes more physicality. We'll see.
Backhand force still slightly flat by Montague. Norden looking for the underneath McGinn. McGinn putting it deep. Cross is there. Defender also can't make the grab. A little bit of contact, but no foul.
Cross gave him that little bump to push him hopefully underneath the disc, get it himself. He got a hand on it, just couldn't close.
Picked up at the line, looking for Montague underneath. Norden trying to get there. Contact on the play behind Montague. Pass was.
A little bit behind Montague. We're talking about potentially a foul call here. It's questionable.
Montague did a nice job sort of boxing out on that throw, sort of made him go around. I don't know. I think he had the position where he should have made that catch.
Yeah.
Bailing himself out with the foul call.
Yeah, it's one of those calls where there's enough physicality on both sides of the disc. You hope he doesn't call a foul. Me personally, I think that's one that I would take to the observer.
Norden there really has nothing to lose. 10-yard in cut versus going to the observer, depending on the ruling. Anyway, it goes back to Weiss. Looking for the break. Finding Montague
have a forehand mark.
Montague looking upfield. Putting out the space. Giving chase. Makes the grab. Called in by the observer, and that's a break and a 12-10 lead for Carleton.
I wonder if we're going to get a look at this replay. It looked to me from my angle that his foot, when he caught it, was out of bounds. We're going to take a look at this.
It's going to be whether or not he clapped it. He closed his hand right before he landed on the line or not.
Oh, it looked like the observer was blocking our look at the replay. We'll see. Let's see. We're going to take a look at it, and you can see, that was out of bounds. It looks like, as we took a look at the replay, that first foot that he got in after the catch was out of bounds.
He wasn't dragging his back foot?
I mean, he was dragging his back foot, but I think we're going to take a look at it again, see if he was dragging his back foot got that foot in when he had the catch. All right. Here it is. It looks like he's dragging, but it looked simultaneous to me. When the disc got there, left foot went down, out of bounds.
Incredibly tough call.
Tough call.
Those are the breaks in a tight game like this. Carleton has game point, 12-10 over Whitman. Whitman offense has to hold here like they have the majority of the game.
You know, I am surprised that first foul call was not taken to the observer.
Pull goes up. Norden letting it drop to McGinn. Physicality has picked up here on the cutters, finding Cross underneath. Cross looking for Janin. Janin now looking for McGinn. McGinn, forced backhand. Going underneath. Saney. Still a backhand mark. Trying to prevent any forehand hucks. McGinn putting out the space for Janin. Dewey Valentine is there as well. Has position. Goes up, makes the grab. Whitman within one. 12-11, but the defense has a tough pass to come out and get the D now. Game point, Carleton.
Yeah, Carleton's got 2 chances for their offense, who has been converting at a high rate. This is going to be a tough one to Whitman pull out. They got to put on the intensity here.
And take a look at the replay here. You know, this one's just throwing to a matchup. He knows he's got Janin down there. Did throw it to the back shoulder, but really just put that one on Janin to make a play. So here we are. Timeout Whitman. Game point for Carleton. Tyler, what do you think we're going to see here from Whitman?
That's a good question. You know, I don't know what they're going to do. I imagine they said early on in the game their man defense they feel is their forte. It's their thing. But if I'm the coach, I'm probably going to call something poachy. I'm going to call that 3-3-1 that they had. That's gotten, I think, the best defensive opportunities, not necessarily on blocks, but on miscues from Carleton. I don't know, though. They might go with what they think is their strength.
You know, we've seen sort of the zone look from Whitman. We've seen the man look. We haven't seen much transition. You know, what I'd like to see from them is come down in a zone look, get it to man, force out, because that's where they've been getting their turnovers. You know, we think about the Carleton turnovers. It's been 2 of them deep, and then that last one that was actually caught on a questionable call by the observer called in. But that was another opportunity for a turnover for Whitman. We'll see. It's going to be an exciting last couple points. Happy to be here with Brian and Tyler. Want to let everyone know that we are watching the Twitter feed, NGN Ultimate at Twitter, and we're going to be looking at that. If you guys are seeing some things out there, let us know what you're seeing. We'll be happy to give you some feedback on the air if we think it's thought-provoking enough for us to mention.
This is Whitman's opportunity to put the game
To keep
into their hands here. Let's see what they do.
coming out with a stack line. Janin with a pull. Needing a break to stay in the same. Carleton with game point. Offense coming out in an L stack, centering to Norden. Childs Walker faking deep. Coming in underneath. Stewart is there. Stewart in the middle of the field. Round backhand break. Looking for Herskew. 20 yards to go. Finding his man underneath.
Oh,
can't
wow.
make the grab, and that's a turnover. Big opportunity for Whitman. Jeremy Norden. Can he hit another huck to tie this game up?
No turnover called, or no timeout called.
Norden back to Janin. Overthrown. Can't make the grab. Carleton getting the disc.
Oh, no. That's not what he wanted.
A little bit of nerves there. Norden getting back to disc in the goal line. Chance for cut. In space. Finding Childs Walker, and that's the game. Carleton wins 13-11 over Whitman.
Carleton takes it. You know, Janin's already got his head in his shirt. You know, he is just frustrated with himself. I feel like he knew what he wanted to do there. He knew that Jeremy was going to throw that. He just kind of did a little stutter step. Didn't. Gosh. You hate seeing guys lose like that.
You know, that is so tough. I totally agree. Whitman did everything right this game to keep themselves in the game. They got break opportunities. They had one at the end of the game. they got themselves in a position to have a huge upset victory, and it just didn't go their way.
I was surprised at two things that game. One, the lack of foul call, as I mentioned before, and two, that there wasn't a timeout call right here. You get that crucial turnover at 12-11. You have the game in your hands to tie it up. The ball's in Jeremy Norton's hands. You are essentially the leader of the team, regardless of captain or not, and you don't call a timeout. Now, in a timeout at this tournament, you can sub. Now, that's one thing that that rule hasn't been around a lot. But you can actually sub on a turnover in this tournament. That was an easy time to make that call. You know what I mean? But
yep.
They didn't. Downfield, it looked like guys might have been a little tired. They just weren't prepared, and it led to a little just unfortunate miscue on that turnover.
Yeah. So this is almost one of the toughest huddles to go into if you're Whitman. How do you tell your team, that was a great game. We didn't win that great game, but we played great. That as a leader, I've always found that conversation to be really hard to lead because guys they've got their head down. They're saying we should have won that. How do you take your team to the next level and say we got a lot of tournament left? This game is early in the season. We got to continue to keep our heads up. How do you say that?
One of the things I've learned from a lot of great leaders on sockeye is you don't want to tell people not to be frustrated, not to be pissed off, not to be angry or sad or whatever, right? Allow yourself 2 minutes, right? Get those things out, right? Be pissed off, be whatever. After that, regroup and take the lessons from that game that were, when we connect on hucks, makes a huge difference, right? Whitman clawed back with some really, really good deep shots. They weren't forcing them. They were just taking what's there. Early in the game, they were kind of just bailout hucks, but they also worked, right? Their deep game needs to work, and it can. But their resets have to be better. They had too many turnovers on dumps that need to be easier. And for them to really take it to these programs like Carleton, they need to be able to reset consistently and keep the ball in the hands of their best players.
It looked like the name of the game was offense throughout this entire game. Carleton able to break early on the second possession, coming out with a 1-point lead, carrying that into the second half where Whitman finally breaks to tie it up. Carleton gets a late break, and there we go. There's the ball game. Carleton being able to convert and ride that offense the rest of the chances. Whitman just not able to force Carleton into too many turns.
It's true. Now, that said, the Carleton we saw that game, I really wonder how they fare against especially a smarter defense. We saw Whitman playing a lot of just man-on-man, no help, guys on an island, got to defend the whole field. Once they start playing a team with a comparable game IQ as them, running that, especially that L stack off the sideline, we're going to see a lot more help D. I wonder how Carleton's going to perform against a better, especially a more just experienced defense, especially a team like Pitt, right? They are a defense that is not only skilled and athletic, but they know how to read plays, they know how to play help D. It'll be a treat if they get if we see Carleton Pitt, I think. Here we have with us Julian Childs-Walker, a former teammate of mine on sockeye. He's one of the leaders on cut. Julian, how are you doing today?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Great to be out here. Great to be out of the snowy, slushy Midwest.
Now, is this your first outdoor tournament?
No, we went to Tampa about a month ago. Enjoyed some good games there.
So tell me, Julian, what was the game plan against Whitman? What were you looking to see? What did you see? How did you adjust?
I mean, our game plan pretty much was to come out, get people reps, control the game. We felt like we did that more or less followed our game plan.
Yeah, you guys look great. I noticed that when you were able to shut down Norton, when you were able to shut down Jannon, you were able to get it into those other players' hands. They were generating more turnovers. Was that intentional? Was it take those guys out of the game, or was it just everyone do their job?
Pretty much everyone do their job. Yeah, we had rotated a couple guys on them, kept them fresh. Just we got a lot of legs on the D-line, so getting them reps, getting them in, bringing the energy on them. It's sweet when a team relies on a few players so much that we can just cycle fresh legs on them and keep them having to work hard. Yeah.
Now, as you approach this tournament, I know that you guys build consecutively throughout the season.
Yeah.
I was told that you guys even ran some super hard practices before Easterns to tire yourselves out a little bit. I don't know if that's true or not. how do you approach this tournament, right? What's your team goal?
Team goal? I mean, we just try and focus on ourselves and get better every game, every practice, every track practice, right? Every point here. And so, I mean, obviously it's hard to just keep crescendoing from day one of practice in the fall through the end of the season in the spring. But
it's a long season.
It's a long season, right? But especially game one, we kind of reset a little bit, back outside, back playing with some wind. So just kind of keep trying to improve every game, keep raising our ceiling.
How do you feel about your offense's production that game? It looked good, but not necessarily the Carleton that we might have seen last year.
You know, it definitely could be better. Working some things out. Without Mike Clark, hamstring injury, he's one of our big go-to cutters. But I mean, just took some throws we didn't really need to take. But other than that, you know, we're getting there. Yeah.
Julian, thanks a lot.
Hey,
good
my
luck
pleasure.
to you the rest of the tournament. You guys are looking good. 1-0 on the day. Carleton beats Whitman 13-11? 13-11.
Something like that. All right.
Cool. Thanks a
you.
lot. Good luck.
Oh.
Now, I've gotten a report recently that the Cal-San Diego game was tied at 9s. I'm not sure where it's at right now. If we can check our Twitter feed, I'm sure we'll get a quicker update. But that is where that game's at right now. For now, this is Next Gen Network's coverage of the Stanford Invite in 2012, and we will come back to you soon.